Yo, what's up? Wednesday, lucky 13, December 13th. We got a couple things to talk to. Mike Stanton got, I think, really upset over this one. We're also going to talk about Ford stocks and a Cybertruck being rescued.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know who I is.
How's that for anticipation? Why is Mike Stanton so angry?
Give him the stuff that makes them wait, Paul. Give him the stuff.
We could go. I mean, we could. Sometimes I think maybe we should go more sensational in some of our copy and text because it seems to be working in some other places. We've always focused on substance, but maybe a little sensational isn't too bad, right? Especially if you have the substance to back it up, right? Because you don't want to be clickbaity.
Yeah.
Right. If you get the real substance. I mean, listen, you wait until we tell you how mad Mike Stanton is. All right, let's talk about other things.
That's for sure.
Oh, good morning, everybody on live stream. Adrian coming in first comment. If you didn't know, on LinkedIn, we live stream this show. We know a lot of you just listen to the audio version. We also live stream on LinkedIn, YouTube, and there's always this competition for who gets the first comment today. And pretty frequent winner is Adrian Wall Gibbs. Just saying good morning on the live stream. And Brian Ortega, he was sleeping yesterday, but here he is. He's in the fight. Jefferville is up in here. Ortega does know sensational.
That is sure. If you've ever seen a Brian Ortega video, you know what sensational means exactly.
Oh man. Well, speaking of sensational, we're just gonna do a half segue there. We do have our year-end extravaganza coming up just about a week, December 21st, Thursday, LinkedIn live event. Go to LinkedIn page, search Asotu, or just go to asotu.com. There's a banner up top. It'll get you right there. Live year-end extravaganza. We're gonna have guests and Christmas trees and some other fun surprises. This is our third one, so I think we're just getting warmed up, but we know how to put on one of these things, and it's much better when you're there in the comments with all the other people in the comments, because that's probably where the real entertainment happens.
Oh, it's so much fun. Yeah, just the interaction between the community, because that's what I can never get over, is the fact that Asotu really becomes a community when it gathers around anything, whether it be the content or the events or anything like that. And so the End Extravaganza is one of those unique events. You should be there.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah. Asotu.com, scroll down, boom, right there.
LinkedIn. Boop, boop, boop. Speaking of today, we have a webinar going on at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can still join. You can still sign up for it. It's with our friends at Upstart, transforming car buying, the power of connected auto retailing. Quick shot, 20, 30 minutes. Kyle and I will be there. We'll be kind of curating the conversation, taking questions, bringing out the insights. You can also go to asotu.com. Just scroll a little bit. You'll see the webinar. Sign up. You're in. We hope to see you there because these are always so much fun. There's so much fun, more fun than a regular old 55-minute webinar where you fall asleep halfway through.
Boom, in and out. Let's go.
All right, let's talk about some news, because that's kind of what we do here on the show. All right, here we go. Let's talk about Mike Stanton and his frustrations, we'll call them. The FTC finalized a new rule yesterday targeting deceptive car buying practices, including the junk fees, misleading promises. And look, this could really transform. They want to transform the automotive landscape. I don't think it's in the way that they think it's going to transform the automotive landscape, but it's gonna head that way in July of 2024, for better or worse. The rule is set to go into effect on July 30th. It requires transparent pricing, prohibits non-beneficial add-ons, as they say, such as things like if you buy a big maintenance package that has oil changes in it, but you bought an EV, even if that's bundled in with a bunch of other benefits, they're like, that doesn't work. Or things like selling nitrogen in tires, especially if the composition of the air you're putting in the tires doesn't have more nitrogen than normal air. Those seem like, when they put those out front, you're like, yeah, those scumbags, why would they ever sell me that? It's so much more complex than that. What their goal is to protect consumers, particularly have some special provisions for service members from deceptive practices, which they say cost consumers $3.4 billion annually. NADA is obviously criticizing the rule for adding complexity, increasing compliance cost, and also for not giving this a fair chance, let's test some of these things out. Let's have a long discussion about them, as opposed to just jamming them through, which is, I think, the biggest point of the whole pushback on it. The Center for Automotive Research suggests these things could add as much as 2 hours to the transaction time of buying a car.
Wow.
FTC saying this is going to save 3 hours. It's going to actually reduce the transaction time by 3 hours. I don't even know how.
I don't understand how they come up with those numbers. How are 3 or 4 pieces of paper going to add 2 hours to the transaction time and more? How are you going to reduce 3 hours off of a thing that is 2.5 hours right now? I won't understand the logic here.
We're going to read Mike Stanton's comment. He has an idea on how the FTC came up with these numbers buried in his comment. The same study from the Automotive Research Center for Automotive Research suggests dealers will face $18 to $22 billion in extra compliance costs over the next decade, according as a result of the rule, far exceeding the agency's estimate of 1.3 to 1.5 billion. So if you're doing the math there, that's like 15 times more.
That's 15x.
All right, here we go. Mike Stanton, you can decide whether or not he's angry or not. He said on Tuesday, this regulation is heavy-handed, bureaucratic overreach and redundancy at its worst that will needlessly lengthen the car sales process by forcing new layers of disclosures and complexity into the transaction. Here's the one. The FTC made up data to support its claims, then rejected calls to slow the process down and test the effectiveness of its proposal with real consumers. We're exploring all options on how to keep this ill-conceived rule from taking effect. I don't know, Kyle. Do you think he's upset?
I think he's upset. And also, like, anytime you're claiming that the FTC has made up data,
wow,
like, that's a pretty bold claim. Here's my level-headed approach to this. First, we did it to ourselves. As an industry, we have brought this rule upon ourselves. Second, the vast majority of dealers are already complying with a large swath of what this ruling entails. Like, they are clearly and transparently presenting prices online, providing products that are actually of value to a consumer in the vehicle that you're purchasing, and don't have ridiculous add-ons. There's no consumer that wants any of those things to be that way. So as a large, overarching goal and target rule, I think that this does a lot of good for consumers and elevates the best of the dealers out there that are already complying with the majority of these rules. So just my plain opinion is, why wouldn't you want to comply with something that's better for the consumer? Now, the long tail of what are the things that inhibit the process of a car sale? What are the things that they don't understand in relationship between OEM and dealer and pricing rules and the way that people can click to get e-price versus what's available via the manufacturer approved pricing? How are current F&I providers structured to provide aftermarket products that may or may not include things, and what dependencies are going to be outside of the dealer's control that relates to this? There's just a massive amount of complexity that goes into a car deal that over a 6-month timeline is going to be extremely hard to overcome, and is going to take a ton of retooling from not just dealers, but more importantly, the partners that support the transaction process. And so, it puts let's even just call it split the difference, $12 billion onus on the dealers, when a lot of this relies on their partners and the inability, both from the OEM and the tech partners, to support what's going on here. And it gives unfair advantage to some of the new entrants that are going to direct to consumer. And I would watch out for OEMs to go, hey, look, we're just going to solve this on our own. There's a lot packed into the 2 minutes you just delivered. Packed in a lot, but it's just too complex to really go.
I think that's the bottom line. It's a very complex situation. In the end, I think everyone agrees they want the consumer to understand what they're buying.
Yep.
Well and quickly and upfront. And if you don't, it's because you're trying to play a little 3-card Monte, right? Which is back to your very first statement. That's the reason that this rule has just gained steam and momentum. So the best dealers out there are fighting back. We're trying to help you fight back by making it better, faster, changing the perception. And look, this is something we're dealing with, right? We've been talking about this for 6 months now, this one thing, and here it is, and we'll see where it goes. But Mike Stanton and our friends at NADA are certainly all over it.
They're on it.
Speaking of being on it.
Stop. Segue.
Time. All right. Change the energy of the show a little bit. Ford's electric chief vehicle, digital, and design officer, recently made the largest non-family investment in the company since 2004 when tracking that began, so maybe longer, purchasing $2 million personally of Ford stock, reflecting obviously huge confidence in the automaker future. He's former Tesla. There's another company he used to work with. I can't remember, but he's been around the block. Doug Field acquired 182,000 shares at $11.05 each, which doubles the $1 million stock purchase by former COO Jim Farley when he was just the COO. Bought $1 million back in 2020, obviously signaling optimism. Ford's spokesperson commented on this transaction. Doug has substantial ownership interest in Ford stock, which shows he believes in the company's future. Verified Data, the company, notes the purchase is a sign that Ford, this confidence from an employee insider, confidence that Ford is undervalued, right? So it'll be interesting to see what the stock does. It's a big deal. I mean, $2 million of your own money. Ford stock, although down 7% this year, has risen about 45% since Jim Farley became CEO in 2020, with Field playing a very key role in vehicle services and technology, and certainly the direction of the company moving forward.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, to watch a high-ranking employee buy a whole bunch of stock personally and not from some sort of fund it is interesting. Obviously, there's stock in his comp plan, which means if you have an undervalued stock and you purchase a bunch of it and there's perceived raise in value, you could see the remaining amount of your stock options, which is probably in your comp plan, go up. But also it exudes a lot of confidence. And so there's both sides of the coin to this. And I'm pumped because I'm like, all right, if he's ready, if he's seeing the light through all of the turbulence and the EV side of stuff that we've seen in the last 2 months, then
feel the way.
Let's go. Here we go.
Speaking of Ford and confidence,
Stop.
Segue.
in the same sentence.
So a Twitter user captured a Tesla Cybertruck's failed attempt to climb a snowy hill, requiring his rescue by his friends. Get this, Ford Super Duty, raising questions about the off-road capabilities of a Cybertruck, and of course, slightly embarrassing the new vehicle. We've got the video. We want to play it real quick. It's just a little bit. You see the Tesla's just.
I have so many questions when I see this video, and so like.
I got more questions about the driver than the truck. If you're just listening, honestly.
You're watching the vehicle on probably a 15 to 20% incline of packed down snow, which seems a little bit more like ice, with a Christmas tree in the back, and it's just spinning its wheels, going forward a couple inches, sliding back, going forward. And it's probably how far from the road? 15 feet from the road?
Yep. Not far at all. Yeah. No.
Okay. So,
I mean, the Twitter post did say the driver didn't air down the tires, which typically would be something that you would do if you were in one of these trucks in deep snow or ice to get a little bit more traction, right? If you really knew what you were doing in the thing, they didn't show everything, but it was clear that there's a good chance that the low end weight of that vehicle was making it very, very hard for it to get up.
You think the weight might fix that one a little bit? Also noted, there are no tow hooks or recovery points on the vehicle at all. And now this was one of the candidates. It was a release candidate, which is why it's got the big RC on the side door. So it wasn't like a production model. Maybe they added those. But yeah, those little hooks under your car, like if you don't have anything. So I think they actually had a hook onto like the control arms, which doesn't sound very great for the truck.
Not great
to tow it out. But if you look at the situation, I think this is operator error. Like there's no way they should have gone down that slope to pick up a Christmas tree trying to be all cute and fancy. They did it to themselves, because I don't know that the Super Duty would have made it up that incline either without airing down the tires or special
But it's
tires.
still funny, and we're still going to see more TikToks about and Twitter videos about Cybertruck. Can't wait for the next one.
Hey, if they're hating on you, just means you're probably doing something right.
There you go.
That's usually how it goes. Well, we hope we don't hope people are hating on you, but we hope you're doing a lot right today. We know one of those things is focusing on the people side of your business and understanding that is what makes the profitability difference. And then we won't have to worry about rules anymore.